As an architect, I'm a massive fan of micro apartments. If you take a look at what tech giant Apple does with most of their products line, it's a process of stripping a product back to its bare essentials and squeezing maximum functionality into such a small package, and it's incredibly appealing. Apple products are both efficient and intentional about their intended end user, and like industrial design, many of the apartment designs that you see on YouTube show these kinds of spaces in their best possible light. Freshly dusted, pillows perfectly arranged, and absent of clutter. A bit like an Apple ad. I mean, why wouldn't you do this? When you choose to have guests over, you probably clean and tidy your chaos of empty crisp packets, stained coffee cups, and dirty floors. And like a guest in another person's apartment, you probably don't get to see how the apartment looks every day. But in this video, I want to expose the sometimes frustrating realities of living in a small space. The first thing I'll mention about small spaces is sounds. We know how sound works. It travels in sound waves, which travel through the air, losing volume as they meet resistance. So clearly, the further away you are from a sound, the less you can hear it. Likewise, the more obstacles you put between you and a sound, the less you can hear it. In small apartments, you don't really have either of those things. Little distance and few obstacles. So whenever you inevitably do something or interact with an object, it makes noise, which can be incredibly disturbing to you or those around you. A few examples might be your washing machine, the hum of a fridge or a bathroom fan, because they're never more than a few meters away from you. They're difficult to escape from, especially if trying to sleep or study. This problem is all the more amplified when sharing a space with someone else, as people tend to make a lot more noise than any of those things. One thing that you also can't escape from is the fact that you can't change the room you're in when living in a small apartment. Many people suffer from the thought of being stuck indoors all day, but this is all the more amplified when living in a small space. You're basically looking at the same four walls all the time. There's no garden, conservatory, garage, or man cave to escape to, and you have to make do with what you've got. This might not be so bad when living alone, but when sharing a small space with someone else, there's no escape. So as we've covered two of the senses, the next step would be to address smells. Smells, just like sounds, tend to be more bearable with the more distance you place between yourself and the source. And if your bathroom isn't ever very far, this can be pretty problematic, depending on what you ate the night before. If you've ever worked for a fast food chain, you'll know what it feels like to come home and stink of whatever was being cooked, especially if it involved frying. So in a small space, this is also something to take into consideration, as in addition to your clothes, you also have your fabric sofa and bed sheets pretty close by. So unfortunately, if you like frying fish, it's off the cards, unless you want to smell like one. Moving on to something related to smell is air quality. In a small space, there's a lot less cubic volume for air to circulate, which is another big reason why smells can be so problematic. But another lesser known problem is humidity and dust. When you consider the fact that there's already two of us inhabiting a small space, the other thing that brings this problem along is laundry and fabrics. As we don't have space for a dryer, we hang all of our clothes to dry in the apartment on a washing line in our living area, usually while we're out or overnight. Because of all the moisture in the clothing that's evaporating into the air, it makes the apartment incredibly humid, which can lead to condensation and damp, which if not addressed can lead to respiratory problems. Also, because we're using the same space all the time, dust accumulates incredibly fast, and it seems like we're continually cleaning the space and wiping down surfaces. It's true that in a small home there's a lot less space that you have to clean, but we do find that we're doing this almost every other day as the mess is so concentrated in one area. We also have really thick, dark hair, so it seems that the floor always has hair on it, regardless of what we do. Also, we don't have space for a dishwasher, which means that we have to wash all of our dishes by hand, which we'd really rather not have to do. Finally, the lack of space just means that we can't have a lot of the luxuries that most people enjoy. This is mainly the case with kitchen appliances. A dishwasher is something we'd really like to have, but something we simply don't have the space for, unless we strip out and reconfigure our entire kitchen. This lack of space also means that we can't consider owning other appliances, such as dryers or kitchen gadgetry, such as mixers, food processors, air fryers, or coffee machines. It's true that these items are considered non-essential by many. However, as lifestyles change, so do people's priorities. So the one thing that we simply can't get around is the fact that our small apartment doesn't get any bigger, even if our family does one day too. For now, the apartment is perfect for our needs, but we know that this probably won't last forever. So I could quite just leave the video there, which would be a bit of a downer, but because I'm an irritatingly optimistic individual, I can't help but find something to love about these constraints. And if you think about it, a lot of the problems the world faces are usually the origin of some of the world's best art and design. So I'm going to get into a few of the things that we do to solve these problems in our micro apartment. For unwanted sounds during the day, the one way we get around it is by using headphones. Because we're both at home all day on most days, I recently got gifted a pair of noise-cancelling headphones. I always have a pair of headphones on my head when I'm drawing or editing, and by having a pair that are also noise-cancelling, these allow Nisha more freedom to do things like make calls, work out, or play instruments. Additionally, we just carefully choose when to run appliances such as our washing machine, so that these things rarely bother us. In order to get around the fatigue of seeing the same four walls every day, we also do as much as we can to get outside and make sure that we have good laptops to keep us occupied for casual browsing. We've also found having a few small plants help to brighten the mood, and the option of changing the position of our transforming furniture also helps bring variety to our living area. Essentially, the best way to combat this problem is to make sure your space is as nice as it can be, and just to get outside more often, which you need to do regardless of how big your home is. So amidst the lockdown, we've been taking walks in local parks as much as we can. To deal with smells, you really just need two things: isolation and ventilation. Obviously, due to the UK's building regulations, both our bathroom and kitchen have extractor fans for ventilation. But what's more unusual about our kitchen is that it has its own window and it's not open plan. Arguably, this is a less efficient use of the space, but the door does a great job of keeping smells isolated from the rest of the house, especially from our fabric sofa and bed sheets. Additionally, we use an air purifier to rid ourselves of any lingering odours, and this also serves a dual purpose at addressing unwanted sounds at night, as it provides great white noise whilst we sleep. To rid ourselves of humidity, we use a dehumidifier, as I mentioned in my 5 rules for small homes video, which I'll link in the description. And we make cleaning as easy as possible by having a single socket where our vacuum cleaner can reach the entire apartment. We also make washing up easier by using pans with removable handles to make them easier to clean and to put away. Obviously, these things don't fix everything. The one thing we can't change is making the apartment any bigger to change with our careers, family, and lifestyle. So when choosing whether or not to live in a micro apartment or studio flat, I'd say that this is the most important thing to consider when also factoring in your priorities and your budget. However, by being proactive to identify the challenges that come with living in a small space, we've figured out the best possible way to deal with them to suit our personal priorities. This goes back to the idea of being intentional about what we do by identifying the problems. By having an attitude of continual learning and improvement, it allows us to address the problems, to ensure that we don't struggle physically, mentally, or financially any more than we need to. This brings us on to the kind sponsors of today's video, Skillshare. If you don't already know, Skillshare is an online learning community that offers thousands of inspiring classes for people that are interested in topics ranging from photography and design to business and productivity. Small spaces force you to have a minimalistic and intentional mindset. In my last video, I talked a lot about the relationship between minimalism and efficiency, and how it's a great way to strip all of the unnecessary and inefficient fluff out of your life. I think this is probably why minimalists are inherently interested in design and productivity. In my ongoing quest to be more efficient and productive, I'm taking a course on Skillshare by fellow YouTuber Thomas Frank on creating a productivity system that works. In this video, he talks about how to streamline your productivity by becoming more efficient and organized at producing task lists, calendars, and notes. To find out more, the first 1,000 of my subscribers to click the link in the description will get a 2-month free trial of premium membership to check out Thomas's class and other amazing speakers such as Simon Sinek and Greg McKeown, whose classes I also mentioned in previous videos. With the link in the description, Skillshare is completely free to try out, and an annual subscription works out to be less than $10 a month. By signing up, you'll be actively supporting this channel and have the opportunity to up your productivity in our ongoing quest to do more and be more with less. Thanks for watching, and if you like this video, drop me a comment in the comment section below and go ahead and smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm. I'm not Graham Stefan. Why did I just do that?